I saw him in a photograph, 17 and wide-eyed brave, standing on a rusty truck, like the world was his to save. He believed in straight lines, in justice clear and clean. He thought that doing right was all it took to win. He didn't know about compromise, about choosing lesser wrong, about swallowing your conscience just to keep your job that long. He didn't know that fear can dress itself as pride, or how a man can lose his way while saying he's just trying to survive. I used to think I left him somewhere on that road, but every quiet night I feel what I still owe. I owe a debt to my younger self, to the fire in his chest, to the way he looked at truth like it deserved his best. Somewhere between the bills and doubt, I let that flame grow dim. Now I'm trying to be the man he believed I'd be back then. There were nights I chose the easy path, signed my name and looked away, told myself it wasn't my fight, told myself that's just the way. But I can hear him asking, is this who we became? Is comfort worth the cost of trading courage for a name? You didn't have much money, didn't know much about pain, but it had a kind of clarity I've been trying to regain. Not innocence, just honesty, not reckless, just sincere, the kind of strength that stands alone without the need for fear. Maybe growing older ain't about getting wise. Maybe it's remembering the truth before disguise. Maybe redemption isn't loud out or written in a book. Maybe it's facing who you are when you finally take a look. I owe a debt to my younger self, and I'm paying it tonight by saying what I mean out loud, by choosing what is right. No more hiding in excuses, no more numbing him with doubt. If I can't be who he hoped I'd be, then what's this life about? So here's to that 17-year-old with dirt upon his boots. You were naive, you were stubborn, but you were rooted in the truth. I can't give you back your innocence, can't undo where I fell, but I can walk the road ahead bar at the edge of town, where the lights stay low and dim. Men with shoulders built like freight trains go there just to feel again. No one talks about the hard stuff. No one says what's at stake. But you can see it in their faces. This is where strong men break. They've got wedding bands and work boots, calloused hands and tired eyes. They build houses, raised up children, buried dreams and swallowed pride. Every I'm good feels rehearsed. Every laugh just slightly late. You don't notice when it's happening. This is where strong men break. It ain't loud like thunder rolling. It ain't fire in the street. It's a quiet kind of cracking no one else can hear but me. Where the strong men break, it don't look like falling down. It looks like showing up to work with a smile that doesn't sound. It's carrying the whole damn world till your knees begin to shake. Yeah, nobody sees the moment where the strong men break. I've been sitting at that counter, glass sweating in my hand, thinking about my father and the weight he never planned. He wore his pain like armor, like a badge you couldn't take. Never let us see the fracture where the strong men break. My little boy asked me last night, Daddy, are you ever scared? I felt the old reflex rising to say no and leave it there. But something in his small voice made the silence feel like fake. So I told him, yeah, I am sometimes, and felt the cycle shake. Maybe breaking ain't the ending. Maybe it's the seam. Maybe letting someone see you is the strongest thing you mean. Maybe strength is in the open, not in what you hide or fake. Maybe healing starts exactly where the strong man breaks. There's a field behind my memory where old versions of me lie, young and reckless, fist up high, swearing he'd never cry. Another dressed in quiet rage, teeth tight, jaw set strong. He thought the world was something you could conquer if you're wrong. I buried one who chased applause, needed eyes to feel alive. Buried one who shut down love just to say he survived. Each one wore a different face, each one swore he knew, but growth is just a funeral for someone you outgrew. You don't become a better man by letting one fall. Evolution sounds heroic, but it hurts most of all. These are the graves of the man I used to be, crosses in the dirt of memory. Each one fought so I could see what strength was meant to mean. I didn't lose them, I set them free. Now I stand where they couldn't stand for me. Yeah, these are the graves of the man I used to be. One believed that love was weakness, that control was how you win. He kept his distance from the fire so it wouldn't burn within, but he froze in his own winter, proud and all alone. Didn't know a guarded heart turns colder than a stone. Another thought that anger was the proof that he was real. Spoken thunder moved like lightning, never learned to kneel. But storms don't build foundations, they just tear the rooftops down. And a man who only shouts will eventually just drown. It takes more than time to change, it takes surrender too. It takes looking at your shadow and saying I release you. Not in shame, not in regret, but in gratitude for the fight. They were steps along the road that led me to this night. These are the graves of the man I used to be, buried deep, but still part of me. I carry what was worthy, leave behind what couldn't see. Growth ain't clean, it's surgery. It cuts before it sets you free. Yeah, these are the graves of the man I used to be. So if my voice sounds heavier, it's not from chains I keep, it's from walking through my path without losing sleep. I honor who I was, but I don't let him leave. A stronger man was born from it. room. Never slam my fist for show. Never let my temper bloom. I learned to listen more than speak, to measure every word. But silence has a gravity that's heavier than hers. They say a quiet man is calm, unshaken, always sure. But still waters hold their storms, just as deep and pure. I'll carry doubts like hidden stones in pockets stitched inside. Smile steady through the pressure while the questions multiply. Not every battle leaves a bruise, not every scar is shown. Some wars are fought internally with discipline alone. This is the weight of a quiet man, not weak, not small, just still, holding back the thunder with nothing but his will. He's choosing not to break the glass when anger hits your hand. Yeah, that's the hidden burden of a quiet man. My father do the same. Sit straight, eyes forward, said. Never heard him say he heard, never saw him sweat. I thought that's what maturity meant, control without a crack. But no one taught us how to speak. When the silence pushes back, my son looks up at me like I'm carved from something strong. But strength ain't marble, unafraid. It's knowing right from wrong. And maybe he should see me when I don't have all the plans, so he learns that real foundation is more than folded hands. A quiet man ain't empty, he's deliberate and deep. But even oceans need a tide, or secrets start to seep. If I never let the pressure out, it'll find its way somehow. So I'm learning how to speak it without losing who I am now. This is the weight of a quiet man, measured and contained, not by how loud he's shouting, but by what he's restrained. Yet strength don't fade in honesty, it doesn't disband, it only grows more human in a quiet man. So if my voice stays low and slow, it ain't because I hide. It's depth, not fear, that shapes the tone of what I keep inside. And if you ever hear me open up, understand, that's not me breaking. That's the way of a quiet man. I've stared at that same old mirror after days that felt too long. Tie half loose and collar band, telling myself I'm strong. But glass don't lie or comfort, don't clap when you endure. It just reflects the question you've been dodging for sure. Built a life on discipline, on sacrifice and grind. Turned every crack in confidence into I'll be fine. But something in my own two eyes started looking back. Not angry, not defeated, just tired of the act. You can outrun every critic, outwork every doubt, but you can't outrun reflection when the truth comes out. That was a night the red didn't flinch, didn't look away from me. Saw the pride, saw the fear, saw the man I wouldn't let be free. No applause, no defense, no one else to blame. Just me and the weight of my own last name. I thought control was character, that pressure made you steal. But pressure without breathing room teaches you not to feel. I kept my world in order, kept emotions in a line. But order ain't the same as peace when nothing feels like mine. My boy knocked on the bathroom door, said, "Dad, you okay?" I said, "Yeah, just thinking," like I always say. Standing there in fluorescent light, I saw what I'd become. A man who mastered standing tall, but forgot how to be undone. Maybe breaking ain't collapse, maybe it's release. Maybe strength is letting go of constant inner police. Maybe the man in the mirror was never my enemy, just waiting for permission to finally breathe. That was the night the mirror didn't flinch, held steady while I shook. Showed me every hidden cost behind the image I mistook. No hero pose, no hardened stance, no shadow I could spin. Just a man deciding to let himself begin. So I wiped the glass with open hands, It's not to erase the sight, but to clear the fog of ego I've been wearing like a fight. And if tomorrow I stand softer, no, it's not because I think, it's because I face my reflection and finally let it in. I've been counting time and back road signs and rusted, faded paint. Every mile a quiet witness to the man I ain't. Boot heels worn like old beliefs, grinding into stone. You can roam the world for answers, still feel alone. I chased a dream through factory smoke, for barrels thick with lies. Learned how to read a handshake by the hunger in the eyes. I've seen good men turn cold just to make it through the frost. Sometimes staying in the fight feels the same as being lost. There's a ledger on my conscience, every line I can't erase, not written down in ink, but carved across my face beneath the weight of years. Under every uncried tear, I stand like weathered timber, still refusing fear. I bet, but I ain't disappeared through doubt and broken gears. Yeah, I'm breathing beneath the weight of the years. Spoke of hope, he spoke of paying dues. Said life don't hand you mercy, it just hands you tools to use. So I built myself from discipline, from grit and clenched up fists. But no one warned a hardened heart can forget how to exist. I watched my best friend lose his spark, working double shifts of pride. He said, women, we don't fall apart. Then fell apart inside. That night I felt the truth hit low, heavy as regret. Strength ain't always holding on, sometimes it's what you let. Wisdom comes from breaking, then I've earned the crown of scars. If grace is space in who you are, then I've come that far. I don't need applause or pity, don't need to be revered, just need to stand with open eyes instead of armored and severe. Beneath the weight of years, I finally see it clear. The past don't have to own me, said a man don't fold easy, don't let the cracks be shown. So I learned to carry mountains like they weigh no more than stone. Smile through every losing, nodded through the blame. Told myself that pressure was just another name for fame. I watched my mother working with her hands split at the seams. She never called it suffering, she just called it dreams. And I swore I'd be unbreakable, swore I'd never bend. Didn't know that kind of promise is where the fractures begin. There's a difference between surviving and being truly alive. But nobody teaches boys how to feel it and still survive. That's the price of being strong. You hold it in too long, turn your hurt into a hammer till everything feels wrong. You build your wall so high, even love can't come along. Yeah, that's a price, the price of being strong. I had a friend who laughed too loud, drank like he was bulletproof, said ain't nothing in this world that a little grit can't move. We buried him on a gray sky day, no warning, no goodbye. Turns out silent battles don't always wait to cry. I stood there in that graveyard, wind cutting through my coat. Felt something crack inside me, rise up to my throat. Not rage, not even sorrow, something raw and clear, the weight of all the I'm fine I'd been carrying for years. Maybe strength ain't iron, maybe it's admitting fear, maybe it's letting somebody see the weakness you hold dear. Maybe courage isn't fighting every war alone at night, maybe it's putting down your fists and choosing to be light. Cause the price of being strong shouldn't cost your soul, should've mean you suffer quiet while the world takes its toll. If I'm built to last, let it be where I belong, not just enduring, but learning what's wrong. So I'm laying down the armor, let the silence fall apart. If strength is telling truth, then I'm starting with my heart. I ain't done being a fighter, just fighting a different war. And maybe being strong means I don't hide anymore. Caught my reflection in the diner window, 3 a.m. and nowhere to be. Lines on my face like county roads, all of them leading back to me. Coffee gone cold in a trembling hand, jukebox bleeding low. I've outrun towns, I've outrun love, but the mirror won't let go. I wore my pride like a tailored coat, cut sharp, stitched tight with fear. Every I'm fine I ever spoke rang hollow in my ear. I built my throne from stubborn bones, sat tall above the doubt. The kingdoms made of loneliness eventually cave in and out. There's a courtroom in my quiet, where the jury's made of scars, and every verdict whispers, you are who you are. When the mirror speaks, it don't lie soft, it don't care what you've survived. It names the cost of every cross you carry just to hide. It says you're more than the mask you keep, more than the nights you can't sleep. When the mirror speaks, I loved a woman brave enough to hold my shaking hand. She said, you don't need to be a fortress to prove you're still a man. I watched her faith grow tired and thin like smoke against the rain. I thought control meant safety, turns out control was pain. I've shaken hands with younger ghosts, men I used to be. They ask me what I'm fighting for, what I'm trying to flee. The road is long, the road is mine, but running's not the same as choosing where you stand at last and calling it your name. If mercy starts with honesty, then let it start tonight. Let the low notes of my baritone carry truth instead of might. I don't need to win the war I waged against my past. I just need to face the glass and let the silence crash.